universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Welcome to the rice fields, mother.
Drop it. Yeah.
You will never get this, you will never get this, la 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 la.
And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. I feel very strongly that it is consistent with the Second Amendment and your right to own a gun to also say we need an assault weapons ban. They're literally tools of war.
And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. You know, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way.
And then also, again, what we need to do about demilitarizing our schools and taking police officers out of schools.
I support buybacks, and it's something I'm so passionate about and so looking forward to being president to address. We've got to deal with this.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
When elected with your help, I will give the United States Congress 100 days to pull their act together on this and put a bill on my desk for signature. And if they don't, I will take executive action and end and ban the importation of assault weapons into our country. We'll finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
What would you do about the millions of, specifically, assault weapons that are already in circulation? What do you do about those?
Well, there are approximately 5 million, to your point, Craig. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
We need an assault weapons ban. They're literally tools of war.
Then I'm prepared to take executive action because that's what's needed.
Executive action to do what?
To do specifically for anyone who sells more than 5 guns a year, they will be required to perform background checks on the people they sell them to. And this will be the most comprehensive background check policy that has ever been had in our country thus far.
Can that be done by executive order?
Yes. Yes, it can. I am also prepared to say and to direct the ATF to remove and take away the licenses of gun dealers who fail to follow the law.
Biden saying there's no constitutional authority to issue that executive order when they say I'm going to eliminate assault weapons, saying you can't do it by executive order any more than Trump can do things when he says he can do it by executive order. Does the vice president have a point there?
Well, I mean, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional. We got a constitution.
Yes, we can.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons? And whether or not you do, how does that idea not go against fundamentally the Second Amendment?
I do believe that we need to do buybacks. And I'll tell you, when elected president, if the United States Congress continues to fail to have the courage to do something about this, I'm prepared to take executive action and put in place a ban on the importation of assault weapons into our country. But we still have to deal with the over 2 million assault weapons that are currently in the streets of America. And so a buyback program is a good idea.
In the ever-shifting landscape of American politics, few figures have exemplified the art of policy flip-flopping quite like Vice President Kamala Harris, especially when it comes to gun control. Harris, once a vocal advocate for stringent gun laws, including mandatory buyback programs for assault weapons, has now seemingly reversed her stance, painting a picture of political hypocrisy that has not gone unnoticed by the public or her critics. During her 2019 presidential campaign, Kamala Harris was unequivocal in her support for what she described as mandatory buyback programs for assault weapons. This stance was not merely a fleeting comment, but a repeated promise, made during high-profile forums and interviews. She argued passionately for the need to address gun violence by removing certain types of firearms from civilian hands, suggesting a compensation model where gun owners would be financially compensated for turning in their weapons. This policy was part of her broader gun control agenda, which also included a ban on the importation of assault weapons. Fast forward to the 2024 election cycle, and Harris's tune has changed significantly. Now, as the Democratic presidential nominee, her campaign has distanced itself from the mandatory buyback program, clarifying that while she supports a ban on assault weapons, she does not endorse a requirement for owners to sell these firearms to the government. This shift has been met with skepticism and accusations of hypocrisy. Critics have highlighted her previous statements as evidence of her initial support for what they term gun confiscation, directly contradicting her current stance. The political arena and social media platforms have been abuzz with reactions to Harris's policy U-turn. Critics, including gun rights advocates and political opponents, have labeled her a hypocrite and a liar, pointing out the stark contrast between her past and present positions. They argue that her change in policy is not a reflection of new understanding or evidence, but rather a strategic pivot to appeal to a broader electorate, one that might be wary of aggressive gun control measures. This flip-flop on gun policy does more than just raise questions about Harris's consistency. It underscores a broader issue in American politics where policy positions can be as fluid as the political winds. For supporters of the Second Amendment, Harris's initial support for buybacks was seen as an infringement on rights, while her reversal is viewed as an admission of political expediency over principle. For gun control advocates, her initial stance was a beacon of hope, now dimmed by what they perceive as a betrayal for political gain. Kamala Harris's journey from advocating for mandatory gun buybacks to now distancing herself from such policies serves as a case study in political pragmatism. While some might see this as a necessary evolution in response to political realities, others view it as a clear-cut case of hypocrisy, where the promise of power overshadows the commitment to policy. As the election looms, Harris's handling of this issue will undoubtedly continue to fuel debate, highlighting the complex interplay between personal conviction and political strategy in modern American politics.